Hello everyone, Dawny Wanders here, and today I have wandered to the Shubenacadie waterway. Throughout this series of videos, I'll be joined by my friend, marine historian and Shubenacadie Canal volunteer, Richard McMichael.
The canal itself is probably the most ambitious project ever undertaken in Nova Scotia during the industrial age.
We'll explore its history and how today it has transformed into one of the best recreational corridors in all of Canada. Welcome to the Shubenacadie Canal. In our last video, Richard and I explored part of Shubie Park, and in today's video we're going to continue to explore Shubie Park by heading upstream just a little bit to a part of the canal known as the Deep Cut. And the best way to explore the Deep Cut is by canoe. So we're just leaving. Wildwood Sports is located right over here, and we rented this canoe. $25 an hour, and it's an awesome way to see the canal.
The Deep Cut, which extends from the holding pond above Lock 3 up to Lake Charles, was just simply not deep enough or wide enough to accommodate one of the tugboats such as Avery and the barge. This section of the canal took about 2.5 to 3 years to complete. And here on the Deep Cut, the Irish and Scottish stoneworkers used everything from gunpowder to rudimentary tools to good old-fashioned brute force to shift thousands of tons of bedrock out of here. And you can see that all the way along the sides of the canal. Also, if you look over to your right, you'll see the remains of some stone retaining walls that were built to keep the sides of the banks from subsiding back down into the canal. And what they used to do is when they do the blasting, and there were a couple of places where they had gunpowder stored along this section of the canal, they would lower buckets, sometimes canvas, slings down the side of the canal on ropes, and then haul all of the stuff up.
Yeah.
And so that would mean that people would have to be down here after the blast to load the stuff into the buckets, and then people on the banks would haul it up. And I mean, if you look up, as to say, either side, you can still see all the boulders and the rubble as we're sort of paddling along here.
So this is bedrock.
Yeah, this is all bedrock. And as to say, thousands of tons of this was cleared out of here to open up the Deep Cut. I mean, and especially when you look along here, and you could just see how much work was involved in this project.
This is, this is an
just
enormous
nothing but
amount of
bedrock,
work.
and there's thousands of tons of it all the way up along either side of the banks. And when people hike up to Lake Charles from the Fairbanks Center, a lot of them, I would assume, think that all those huge boulders up there are just naturally occurring, but they're not. This was all dynamited out of here. And as I say, all the debris just hauled up the banks.
Wow. All that waste rock, you got to put it somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And you're not, if you're moving it by hand, you're not hauling it far.
No, it's just all the way along the trails now is all of the debris that was hauled out of here, all this fill. I mean, you could see how, of course, this is bedrock. It, along with granite's the two most naturally occurring type of rock that you get in Nova Scotia. And you could just imagine, as to say, how this short little area, because it only takes maybe 10 to 15 minutes to walk from the Fairbanks Center to Shubie Beach at Lake Charles, but 2.5 to 3 years to clear all of this out.
I mean, this, I keep putting it in today's context because I do some of this kind of work, and this would take months and months today.
Yep, exactly.
Like, this would not be a 1-week project. This would take a long, long time with modern machinery and, not people hauling it. It's an enormous amount of work. Oh, there's a big rock we should be okay going over it. Might be a little scrape here.
Holding her steady.
So how long is the Deep Cut, do you think? Or do you know?
The deep cut in meters, you mean?
Yeah.
The deep cut is probably about, I'd say it's about 1,000 to 1,200 meters.
Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, about one kilometer.
As we mentioned and explored, we saw the foundations of some of the homes that the stoneworkers lived in when they were working on this section of the canal. This was the ultimate in open concept living, because this is the kitchen, this is the dining room, these are the bedrooms, and the washroom facilities were out behind a large tree. And it was here that some of the stoneworkers would have lived while they were working on the most time-consuming, labor-intensive part of the entire canal system, and that was the deep cut, the channel behind you that ran from the holding pond above Lock 3 up to Lake Charles. And that was about 2.5 to 3 years worth of work. And this was one of the sites that was excavated starting in 1986 by the students and professors from St. Mary's University. And they discovered not one but two hearths in here, so there may have been two families living in this one small space. And you can clearly see from the stone walls just how small a space this is for square footage, and yet you've got two families. There's also some evidence based on the archaeological work that there was at least one child living in here during that time. And of course the families in here are living in a building which is largely open on one side because you're burning fires. The roof is made out of lumber, sod, held down with rocks. You just cannot have an enclosed space with an open fire. And they're living in here, absorbing everything that the Nova Scotia climate has to toss their way, sometimes from mid-April until the end of October, depending on what the weather's like for work. And as I say, this is your home away from home for maybe 6 to 7 months of the year. And boy, you really have to give them a lot of credit. The most interesting thing about this was, and it's still a bit of a mystery, is that underneath one of the hearths, they actually found a knife. And they're still not quite sure why the knife was there, but the general consensus is it may be a Gaelic Irish tradition to put a knife under the hearth to bring good luck to a new dwelling. But still one of these really nice enduring mysteries that still continues to intrigue scholars and archaeologists connected with the canal story. So much easier to have them living here on site than bringing them up every day from their homes in downtown Dartmouth. Especially the Irish stoneworkers, who of course lived in that little community known as Irishtown.
Yeah, nobody wants a big, difficult commute.
No, exactly. Exactly.
That doesn't change. That has not changed in a few hundred years.
No.
I'm surprised at how shallow it is. Would it have been this shallow?
No, when the canal was in operation, as I mentioned, they tried to keep it about 5 to 10 meters deep.
Yep.
At all times. Nowadays, of course, since the canal's been out of business since 1871, there hasn't been any real sort of maintenance done along here.
No, not
during that
necessary.
time. And
Yeah.
so silt from the banks is basically sort of run down here. There's been spring runoffs and all sorts of stuff like that. So it does get shallow.
So we are just entering Lake Charles.
Which is the high point of the Shubenacadie Canal.
Yeah, which I find very, very strange.
Yeah,
that,
it's 31 meters above sea level.
Yeah.
Bannock and Micmac are about 17. And it's the high point of the canal, and everything from here down to William, Thomas, Fletcher Lake, and then Shubenacadie Grand Lake are all...
That's all downstream.
Downhill on
Yeah.
the way
To the river,
the river itself.
the actual river. Ooh, a nice sandy beach here.
Yeah. Well, this is Shubie Beach, and this is easily accessed from the campground. And this is a very popular spot for people to come for a dip in the summer. They actually offer, the HRM that is, offers swimming lessons here.
Oh, very
Throughout
good.
the summer. Both the boys have taken swimming lessons here in the past when we lived up on Orkney Drive at the top of Montebello Hill.
Yeah, it's a cute little section of the park. And just looking around over here, that's Waverly Road, correct?
That's Waverly Road,
Yeah.
and you can see the huge cranes from the new construction projects that are going on. And
We're back in the city all of a sudden.
And so on the left is probably one of the most popular sites. It's not the IKEA signs on. It's the telephone poles with the magnificent osprey
Oh,
nests.
yes.
And it does look like there is somebody home. But that osprey nest has been a very popular site here. Bird watchers love the lakes here to begin with. I mean, you've got the osprey, you've got bald eagle, and people come down every year, watch the osprey fishing.
I love
while
watching
their kids
osprey
are,
fishing.
While their kids are taking swimming lessons. And just off to your left, there is someone who's enjoying a swim in Lake Charles.
We're watching someone swimming to this island.
You'll see harbor seal here as well.
That's not who's out here today, though.
No, that's not a harbor seal. That's a
That's a person.
That is a person. It is a biped. And the hiking the trails continue all the way out on the left past where the osprey nests are, out to the Lake Charles trailhead, which is at the 107 overpass over the Waverly Road.
Yeah, those are
the community of Portobello.
They're good biking trails too.
They're excellent biking trails.
I think I prefer to bike them because they're quite long.
Yeah, well, a loop from where we are, a loop out to the Lake Charles Trail to the trailhead, and then back on the Waverly Road by foot. It's about 3 hours. I could do it in about 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Normally longer because me being me, I'll run into people that I can strike up a conversation with, and
that slows you down.
That'll slow me down a little bit. Farther out on the headland, off the Lake Charles Trail, you could just see it a little bit on the left there. There's a very nice little plaque and bench area called Vivien's Way.
Yep.
And Vivien was a supporter of the idea of the Shubenacadie Canal in its infancy, and was instrumental in working on some of the trail plans.
I had no idea that's who Vivien was.
Yep.
I'm going to wrap up this video here at the high point of the Shubenacadie waterway. This is Lake Charles behind me, which Richard and I paddled to. I would like to thank Richard McMichael for sharing so much information and knowledge about the Shubenacadie Canal, and also for doing most of the paddling. So thank you, Richard. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to go back and watch the last couple of videos in the series, and there will be a couple more coming up as well. And don't forget to leave me a comment. If you have fond memories of any part of the Shubenacadie Canal or Shubenacadie River, let me know. I would love to know some of the interesting things you've seen on the waterway. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. But that's it for me for today, so thanks for watching. And Dawny Wanders, we'll see you in the next one. Welcome back to the Shubenacadie Canal. Jeez.